Hi everybody. Tonight we're going to just run through real quick, 5 minutes maybe, on how to do pulled pork in your oven. This is great for dead of winter when it's freezing cold out, if you don't want to go outside and feed your smoker every half hour, or it's raining, or you just don't want to deal with it. So, pork butts, which are actually from the shoulder of the pig. I don't know why they call them pork butts, but they do. So we're going to start with these. They're about a 7-pound piece of meat. And first thing we're going to do is score some cuts into these things. I go in not quite an inch or so. And crisscross those. And I'm going to turn it over and do the same thing on the other side. The reason for this will just allow our seasoning, our vinegar, the olive oil to really get down kind of in here, just get more surface contact with everything and really work itself into the meat. The vinegar is also going to help tenderize the meat. It'll just start to break down the fibers and whatnot, so it'll just shred apart really easily when it's done. Okay. So, I usually start off with the vinegar. Just a good drizzle of that. Kind of massage it in there, really work it in. Same thing with our olive wood smoked extra virgin olive oil. And we're just using a traditional balsamic. Sea salt, you can really on this do as much or as little as you like. I'll tell you this, it seems like I'm putting a lot on here, but that's because this is 7 pounds of meat. So it's really not a lot. Turn it over, do the same thing on the other side. Good coating with both of those. More salt. Now, going into the oven, you want to have a pan that's got some depth to it. So you're not going to want to do this on a cookie sheet. Deeper the pan, the better. But really, as long as it's 1.5 inches or so deep, you're fine. One of the tricks I've learned over the years is that if your pan has a lip to it, this is kind of a commercial restaurant pan that I realize not everybody has, but this works out great for this reason. You take your aluminum foil. I highly recommend you use heavy duty aluminum foil, not just standard aluminum foil, and I usually go a double layer. But if you watch how I put this on here, as I fold it over, get it going all the way around. A little trick I've learned, I put my palms here, and then I take my fingertips and just roll this as tight as I can up underneath here. And this is making nearly an airtight seal. I've demonstrated this on other things where I've had liquid in these, and I can take it and turn it upside down and not lose the liquid. So that's what we're looking for. From here, it's just in your oven for at least 4 hours. Times are going to vary. Times are going to vary depending on whether you're using a convection oven or just a conventional oven. But I did these for right at, it ended up, I checked them at 4 hours, I decided they needed another hour. So I went 5 hours in just my household oven, right at 275. So when it's done, 5 hours later, this is what we're going to be looking like. And what I'm going to do is just try to get this out of here intact. This is so tender, it's just literally going to fall apart for us. you should end up with a fair amount of liquid still in your pan, which I would just pour off into another bowl, because part of it's going to be fat and part of it's going to be juice. And we want to save some of that juice. So you pour it in a bowl, your fat's going to float to the top, you can skim that away. Now from here, we're ready to pull pork. You can do this any number of ways. You can use forks and just pull it apart. If you've cooked it, you can tell if it's cooked well enough. I can shred this with just the tongs if I wanted to. You can get in there with your hands, pull it apart. I would not do that right out of the oven. I'd let it sit for an hour or so. This one had a bone in it, so set that aside. This is not a bone I would recommend feeding to your dog after it's been cooked for this long. They just tend to splinter real easily. So, back to the pork. You can pull it by hand. They sell these handy little bear claw things if you want to use those so you don't burn your hands and still pull it while it's hot. But the main thing is, it's way easier to shred or pull while it's still hot. And if you've done it to the right tenderness, it literally takes 30 seconds. We are done. Now, from there, I keep walking off camera. Just to let you get a really good visual on this, there is a pile of pulled pork. Add a little bit of the juice, and you can just make a judgment call on that as to how much you want to put back onto that, just to make it nice and juicy. That is ready to eat as is, or you can add barbecue sauce or any sauce you like. So, serving wise, serve that on hamburger bun, slider bun, hoagie bun. My personal favorite, Hawaiian buns. You can just use the Hawaiian rolls or the Hawaiian sliders. My other favorite, coleslaw. Pulled pork sandwich with a little bit of barbecue sauce. A little blob of coleslaw.